Thank you for that lovely introduction. Well, in fact, I now know the reasons for our success at Xtrac, because I'm going to pick up on some of the points that Mike and Jim made, which are very valuable, and you see in the history of Xtrac. I want to share the passion. I love motorsport. I've been involved in it nearly 40 years now. It's been an interesting journey, and I'm going to go through some of the things that have happened, recent experiences, and also my vision for where we might be in the future. So in fact, a little bit out of date, we're now 320 employees, sales of 50 million, been growing very rapidly. And we design, manufacture, test, develop, assemble, overhaul gearboxes for all of top level motorsport. It was a long time ago that I was in motorsport. That's where I first sort of started with Frank Williams back in the South African Grand Prix, and then did a bit of my own motorsport. But I worked with Frank for about 6 years, then went on to work with Team Haas for a couple of years with Ross and Adrian Newey. And then at the same time helped Mike set up Xtrac. That was about 1986. There were just 4 of us then. We grew it to about 150 people when Mike retired. And together we had the idea of starting an employment benefit trust. So putting some shares in the hands of the employees, something we both believed in a lot. And it's still going today. It's where we distribute shares to the employees. There's a bit of share trading, but in essence, they keep those shares until they retire or move on. Our business, of course, is all about employees. Our employees are shareholders. So really motivating them is what's very important for us. We have to keep them happy. The millennials of the new generation, they don't want to work the 50 or 60 hours that many of us have worked for years. They want enjoyable, interesting work. They want good salaries. They want a nice place to work, gymnasiums and sporting facilities and canteens, etc. And if we don't supply them as an industry, then you can be sure that Google, Vodafone, Apple, these sorts of companies, Dyson as well, they certainly will. So please look after your staff, because they're the ones that are going to look after your customers. We're really, really proud of our apprenticeship scheme that we have at Xtrac. We bring in 4 or 5 apprentices every year and 4 or 5 graduates. It's an award-winning scheme. I started work as an aerospace apprentice for British Airways, so I'm passionate for the apprenticeship scheme. And even yesterday, I was just at Newbury College looking over all the work that our guys are doing there. So it delivers a really valuable boys and girls, both workforce, loyal workforce, and helps UK manufacturing and engineering. Our very first apprentice joined us 26 years ago. He's still with Xtrac. He now heads up the whole of our USA service operation, going around to all the different racetracks. I mentioned USA there. We set up our own facility there over about 10 years ago. We went there to support IndyCar, where we just landed a massive contract to look after the whole of the IndyCar Indy 500 formula, which we still have today, and we've just renewed that contract through till 2020. Our US customers, when we first went there, 100% of the business was just IndyCar. Today, it's 20% of the business. We've grown extra business in the US that we didn't know was there. It's a massive country. I'm going to encourage you later on to export, export, export. Please look at America. It's enormous. There's West Coast, East Coast, down the South. We have an office in North Carolina now as well, looking after NASCAR. But USA, they're not interested in time differences. They're not interested in exchange rates. They couldn't give anything about Brexit. What they want is good quality service, good quality product, and especially value for money. But most importantly as well, they want it delivered by FedEx 24 hours later. So if you are exporting to the US, you've got to have a good agent, good distributor, or you've got to be there yourself. About 6-7 years ago, I shipped all of our final assembly of all of our North and South American business. We do a lot of work in South America now. All the assembly of those gearboxes is done in our US facility. And every gearbox leaves with little stars and stripes and built in the USA on it. And it really helped when we had to rebid for the contract for IndyCar. So today, Xtrac is one of the most successful motorsport companies in the world. And you have to, I saw the comment earlier, strive to be the best. It really is very important. Second best in motorsport is not good enough. You can't go to your driver and say, I've got you the best chassis, the best aerodynamicist, I've got you the best wind tunnel, I've got you the best tyres, and I've even managed to get you the 3rd best gearbox. They don't want to hear it. You've got to be the best. To do that, you've just got to keep investing all the time. We invest £2 to £3 million every single year. We now have £45 million worth of equipment at Xtrac. We get substantial R&D tax credits for that, which I'm really pleased with, and it underlines the government commitment to our industry. Also, it's USA facility there. Also, we are diversifying all the time. We've produced about 1,200 different gearbox designs since the company started. But in response to regulation changes, in particular, you see in Formula One, they've now made the gearbox has to last 6 races, and it's only got 1 set of gear ratios for the whole year. So we've had to transition our business. We've had to move into much bigger volume, away from our small batch prototype. And no different to Jim, we're looking at on getting very much involved in TCR, LMP3, R5, and especially the GT market. The GT market is massive. It is probably the biggest motorsport sector in the world, and we supply a lot of product for that. But also, the fastest sector at Xtrac is our non-motorsport business, where we're working with a lot of the world's automotive manufacturers, especially producing a lot of hypercar transmissions and a lot of hybrid and electric technology. So Xtrac, we took on some investors shortly after the guys got involved. We had a lot of investment in new machinery, in a factory. Had to build a big 90,000 square foot factory. So we took on some investors, but they exited. And a couple of years ago, we did another management buyout, which was really promoting those 10 senior managers in the business to take on the business. It allowed me to step back a little bit. Adrian Moore took over as my managing director. I'm now executive chairman, looking after major customers, organisers, the ACO, the FIA, IMSA, people like that, and also doing what I can to promote motorsport. I've done 3 MBOs now. I love them. They're really good. They allow the guys who know the company to carry on running it. They certainly create some sort of loyalty between the management team. It rewards that management team, and it also allows the employees to be engaged. The one problem that Xtrac has for sure is the victim of our own success. Our staff always being approached by competitors or customers, particularly customers. I think at one point the head of every transmission department for every Formula One team had trained at Xtrac. Very flattering, but it is damaging the supply chain on which those teams develop. So today Xtrac supplies half the Formula One grid, all the IndyCar grid. 47 out of the 60 cars at Le Mans used Xtrac's gearboxes or products. An amazing figure, and we're hoping to get that past 50 next year. Plus a lot of rallying, and of course a lot of the GTs I mentioned. Since the company started, we've produced $1 billion of turnover, 800 million pounds, and exported 515 million pounds worth of exports. So we've done our bit for the UK, we think, UK PLC. Last year, 78% of our turnover was exported. We're fortunate we've been recognised for several awards. We were Manufacturer of the Year a few years ago, IOD Director of the Year, CBI Entrepreneur of the Year, so various awards, and we've even had Jeremy Clarkson come to Xtrac and do a feature on Xtrac and its and the whole motorsport sector's contribution towards the UK. Also very proud to be a member of the MIA. Chris works incredibly hard. We absolutely sweat it. We make sure we attend the trade missions, the shows. You've got it. You can't just be a member of MIA and at the end of the season say, what happened? I didn't really see much. You've got to use it. So lots of things happening. We've seen recently some problems. Obviously, Brexit has created some insecurity, but a massive opportunity. 15% cheaper on prices. But make sure you get out there and keep some of that for yourself. There's no point your customer all benefiting from that 15%. You've got to put some of that back in. We're going to have inflation in the UK. We're going to have employment problems in the UK. So please try and do that and try and improve your own productivity. The other problem we've had recently is also the VW emissions crisis. How can you plan for that? You know, that suddenly someone's got caught cheating and that slashed all their motorsport with Audi pulling out of Le Mans and Volkswagen pulling out of rallying. Major change to the business that you've got to watch. Luckily, Xtrac has always tried to plan that no customer is more than 10% of our turnover. Many companies in the past, Reynard, Lola, people like that, they've concentrated too much on one formula or one particular customer. So please try and watch that. So future's very complex. Brexit, Donald Trump, who knows what's going to happen. I hope Brexit gets sorted out in as much as we get a trade deal or we get something. We just don't want to carry on hanging around for the next couple of years. But what are my recommendations? Export, export, export. Get out there, find it. Take your business cards, as Chris Aylett says. Certainly North America and Western Europe are still there. Yeah, there are other markets, Asia, Russia, etc. China. China will leapfrog technologies as well, so keep an eye on those, but they're still way behind Western Europe and America at the moment. Closely monitor new technology. Okay, it's very important in our industry. Where's it going? Where's automotive going? We've got Tesla coming in telling us that's the way things are going, but every manufacturer is looking at it differently. In the old days, we had Nikon, Kodak, Polaroid, all staring at each other and not looking at the iPhone. So let's make sure we don't get caught out by something coming in from the side. Never stop investing. People for sure. Xtrac is all about our people. They come number one. But products and R&D, and make sure you claim those R&D tax credits for sure. Apprentices and graduates, that's the future. Xtrac has had sometimes a little bit of a downturn, but we've always pledged towards taking on those apprentices and graduates. You know, we're an aging industry in some respects. We've got to make sure we bring that workforce in. Employee share ownership, please consider it. It's been immensely valuable to Xtrac, even if it's only 10 or 15%. It doesn't have to be the 49% that we committed to, but it really does motivate your staff. It involves them, it keeps them, and these are the sorts of issues that are going to be getting, because you've got to employ the best people. Employment is going to be harder. Brexit is going to cause... We're no longer sexy in England. People don't want to come across from Paris to London anymore, as they did a few years ago, thinking, oh, that's great, I'll go and work with all my mates. The French are going back. It's the other way. We're going to have problems, as Eastern Europe doesn't want to come here so much. We send out a big message to Europe saying, we don't really like you that much. So there are going to be employment problems, and already whoever I talk to in industry is starting seeing those. And then, of course, on the other side, you've got the 0 hours contracts, you've got the self-employment problems, flexible working. All these things are going to be under threat. This new generation that voted in the election are telling us, we've got to educate them, to be honest, that they don't make the same mistakes we made in the 70s and 80s. So lots of challenges there, but most of all, as someone said earlier, get lucky and have lots of fun. So thank you. Appreciate it.